Backstage Pass was thrilled to sit down with the one and only Waybill of The Tubes. You may know him as Dr. Strangekiss or Quaylude or Hugh Heifer, but this is a man who has done so much in the music world, including starring in a few of the greatest movies out there, including Xanadu, and maybe he played one of the three most important people in the world for Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Let's go back in time with the one and only Waybill of The Tubes. Okay. Waybill of The Tubes. This is a bucket list interview for me. I'm going to tell you why in a few minutes, but how are you?
I'm really good. Really good. Out here in LA, it's finally cooled off a little. Thank God. It's been so hot. And I'm looking forward to gigs coming up, and I'm having a great time.
Let me ask you that as the first question, because I was excited, but then I was really upset because I saw that you were supposed to join B-52s and Casey and the Sunshine Band in DC at the Anthem. And you guys never get around to this. Well, they had built it as such. And then all of a sudden, it's like the Tubes dropped off and it's just B-52s and Casey. And I go, oh, hold on a second. I wanted to go to that.
No, we were never, I don't know that was some kind of mistake, because we were never offered that gig. We were offered, we played with them in Seattle last month. And at the end of this month, we're doing 3 shows in San Francisco with them. But that's it. That's all there is.
Well, we need to get you back to the Baltimore, DC area, because I know a lot of people saw that and they were excited. Because the Tubes don't come around here very often. You guys haven't been around here.
I know we haven't been in a while. I'm trying to remember the last time we got near there. I guess we played Virginia or something. We used to play the Ram's Head in Annapolis.
Yes.
And years ago we played Merriweather Post Pavilion.
Yeah, way to go, Fee. You know your venues.
Oh yeah, that was a great venue. I love that place. It was so great.
When was the last time you were at Merriweather? I'm curious.
Ooh, it had to be maybe the last big tour we did, which was probably 86, 87.
Oh, no. The whole backstage is all redone. They have a swimming pool.
Oh, really?
They do, with a tiki bar. It's very cool.
I love that. Oh,
yeah. So maybe we'll have to finagle some kind of tour to get the Tubes back to Merriweather, so you can check that out.
Yeah, we haven't done a shed tour in quite a while. And we've been playing like theaters, and we're going back east. We're going up to the Northeast at the end of, in the beginning of November. We're playing Greenwich, Rhode Island, Buffalo, and Boston. And then boy, I don't know. And then that's the end of it for this year. That's all the shows we have booked. And then next year, next July, we're going to support the Hollywood Vampires in the UK.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a cool show. That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. I mean, Johnny Depp has 28 million Instagram followers.
Yeah.
With the whole recent thing with the,
totally. Yeah.
And England, I mean, we're going to play Wales and Scotland and 3 shows in Britain, and they love that tabloid, media they love that. I mean, it started there. It started in London with the Star, and Page 3 used to have a naked girl every day, a topless girl. And we've played England many times over the years. So that's going to be, and we're playing 30,000 seaters, O2 Arena, and huge arena. So it's going to be exciting.
That's amazing. Now you got, when you're out on tour with them next summer, then you got to say, okay, when we're going to do the US. Because
Yeah.
I think that your US fans would really like to see that.
Yeah, well, and we're still negotiating with them. They're doing, in June, they're doing a bunch of shows on the continent, Istanbul and Germany and Austria and a bunch of shows. And we're trying to get on that leg also. They're working on it. The
Amazing.
ACC is working on it. So it's going to be exciting next year, really exciting year.
Good stuff to come, Fee. Good stuff to come. I love that.
The pandemic is over. We're back. We're
You're
on
back.
the road.
Stronger and better than ever, baby.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Let me tell you why you're my bucket list interview. I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay.
2017, I started my podcast, and I had a very tiny bucket list of people that you wouldn't expect, and you're definitely at the top. And then I had somebody else underneath you, and I talked to him, and I actually became really good friends with him. He's on both Outside Inside and the Completion Backward Principle, and I'll tell you who in a sec. But when I was growing up, my father, no, not Steve Lucas,
Not Steve Lucas.
not Steve, no. But when I was growing up, my father had laser discs.
Oh yeah.
In the 80s. And so I was probably about 7 or 8 years old, and we would constantly watch the Completion Backward Principle laser disc.
Right.
Now think about 7 or 8 year old little girl watching that.
No.
I grew up and I go, what was wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Why would you let me watch that? But it stuck with me. And I talk about it all the time on my show, on my radio show. I talk about it all. My listeners know how in love I am with Completion Backward Principle, because I feel like, even though Outside Inside, I feel like you had moderate to more success with that particular album. Completion Backward Principle to me is wild, wacky, out of this world, unique, cool. And I love that album, and I play several of the songs on my show. So thank you for that album.
That is my favorite album. And especially with the whole concept of the Completion Backward Principle, and which we got from a guy named Stanley Patterson. And that was an actual sales principle.
Yeah.
He was a guy that would go around to sales businesses and do a speech in front of their sales force and talk about the Completion Backward Principle, which was, you visualize the completed sale before you ever walk up to the front door to sell your encyclopedia or your brushes or whatever, vacuum cleaners. And we thought it was so hilarious. And this was like 50s. We found this old record in a record store somewhere in San Francisco. And this was a whole 50s door-to-door sales concept. And we thought it was hilarious. So it was, and Outside Inside really doesn't have a concept, kind of an overall concept really like Completion Backward does. And we were actually out doing that tour when the pandemic hit. We were doing the Completion Backward Principle tour, playing the whole album in order. And then the whole thing, obviously, everything shut down. And
I missed it. I missed it.
No.
I missed it.
So, and then when things ramped back up again, we thought, well, gosh, we did that, and let's do something else. And, we try to do something new every time we go out on a tour, or for like this year, we've been doing Outside Inside, and probably at the end of this year, we'll stop and we'll come up with something else for next year.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is yet, but
I think like a good mix, quite honestly, because I think the people that come to the show, like myself, who would want to see X, Y, and Z, and then maybe if you don't cover that and you cover something else, it's like, oh man, but it's hard to keep the fans happy because you have so many different albums that you can pick and choose from, and it's hard to do that, right?
And that's why we keep changing it up every time. We picked songs we didn't play last year, and other album tracks, and of course we always do the core Shoes of Beauty and Talk to You Later and White Punks on Dope and What Do You Want from Life and Bondage and Amnesia, Mr. Hate.
So good. They're so good.
We have a lot to choose from, and then we try to come up with some kind of a theme. You know, we did the Mondo Pulp tour where we kind of did a tribute to Quentin Tarantino, and we did songs from Pulp Fiction, and then before that we did like a Fellini show where we did kind of the music from Satyricon, and we've done the Ennio Morricone, the Italian Western songs, the Clint Eastwood Italian Westerns with Good, Bad, and Ugly, and and that instrumental, So it's always something.
It's good. It's good. Just keep mixing it up because I think they like it. I think they like it.
I think that's what we're still out there. We're still touring. People are still buying tickets because they know they're going to get something different than they got the last time. So,
yeah. Well, I talked to my pal, Bill Champlin. My sweet friend. I love him so. And I told him one day I was going to get you. I told him.
He lives here in LA. Yeah.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. He just moved to a different house, but he's still doing his thing, he's still doing his thing, trying to get him over here to Maryland as well. But it's cool to like look at both of these albums and to see that you had some of the same players on there, right? Like some of the same, like Bill's on both. And then you've got, of course, David Foster, Bobby Kimball, you've got,
Steve
Page and guys from Toto. It's very cool to be able to have all of these guys that participated. But the cool thing to me is the songwriting. I mean, you got to write some songs with Curtis Mayfield. You got to write with Martha from the Motels. And talk to me a little bit about some of the songwriting, any cool stories writing these songs with these characters?
Well, actually, we never wrote with Curtis Mayfield. We only did his song.
Oh, you just did his song. Okay.
Well, we kind of rearranged it, but we didn't write it.
Okay, gotcha.
But
okay.
A good story though is, David Foster, before his first album with us, which was Completion Backward, he had just done Boogie Wonderland with Earth, Wind, and Fire, and they had a #1 song with After the Love Is Gone. And so when we were doing Outside Inside, in a studio here in Los Angeles, down the hall was Earth, Wind, and Fire doing a record. And we were writing this song, we were working on this song, Tip of My Tongue. And we had, and we were stuck on a melody for the chorus. We had the song and we couldn't figure it out, and we kept trying different things and we couldn't find anything that we liked. And so Boz said, Maurice White's right down the hall. We're pretty good buddies. Why don't I go down there and ask him if he can help us come up with something? And we said, oh, okay. And so but he said, Maurice is very religious. Okay. So the line, never been too cunning, I'm no linguist. Cunning linguist. Yeah. You can't let him hear that. You can't.
Wow. So he didn't hear it and then he participated, and then I wonder if he heard it afterwards.
Well, I don't know that, but we had him come down and he came up with a chorus melody right away, and all those ad libs that are on that record are Maurice, and it was great. And the guy was brilliant. It was amazing. But he said, no, don't play the verse, don't play the lyrics, don't show him any of that, or we're done. Okay. Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, it was
that's amazing.
And it's songwriting. I'm really blessed. It's funny because actually the lyric for Talk to You Later was we got from our engineer with David's engineer was a guy named Umberto Gatica, and he was from Chile, and the guy was brilliant. And when we were doing completion of backward principle, whenever, and he was really fast, and he used all this. There was a lot of new gear. This was back in analog days, and we kept going. And we had never worked with anybody that good before, up to that point. And we kept, Umberto, what does this do? And oh, this sounds so cool. Can we use more of this? And instead of answering any of our questions, Maurice would say, Umberto would say, talk to you later. Talk to you later. In other words, shut the fuck up, basically. Okay, don't ask me. Talk to you later. And so that's where I got the title for Talk to You Later. And then Foster always used to say, beauty, eh? Beauty, eh? He's Canadian. Okay, they say a after everything. Yeah. The Lukather and I actually wrote Talk to You Later with Foster, and we also wrote She's a Beauty. And the lyric from She's a Beauty, or the inspiration, this is good. The inspiration from She's a Beauty. We're playing in San Francisco at this little club called the Great American Music Hall, and it's in the what they call the Tenderloin, and the Tenderloin is like the red light district of San Francisco. It's where all the hookers are. Yeah. And where right next door to the Great American Music Hall is the Mitchell Brothers Theater, which was a porn theater. Mitchell Brothers made porn movies. Yeah. And so one day we're playing there, and it's in the middle of the afternoon. We're doing sound check, and the band's setting up, and they're getting sounds, and they're blah blah blah. And for me, sound, I'm pretty much the last guy that does anything at the sound check. When they get all the gear and the sounds and the monitors, and finally the singer gets up, and I get my sound and my monitor mix. Mm-hmm. And so I decide to walk around the neighborhood. And so I'm walking down, I can't remember what it was, Ellis, maybe it was Ellis Street. I can't remember. But it's middle of the Tenderloin, and there's hookers everywhere walking around, and there's, and so I walk down the street, and about a block away from the club, there's a massage parlor. Okay. And in front of the massage parlor, there's like this kind of a booth, like a phone booth. But solid walls, not glass like a phone booth, but solid walls, but the same kind of shape, like 3x3 kind of thing, and like a phone booth. And there's a sign across the top of it, and it says, pay $1, talk to a naked girl. And I went, wow, really? Pay $1, talk to a naked girl? So I went, okay, well, I'm single, I'm not staying, and I put $1 in, and the wall comes down, and inside is this gorgeous young lady, and she's wearing negligee, and she starts stripping, right? And she goes into her spiel, like, hey, baby, come on in. We'll take care of you here. Just come right in the door. She's trying to get me into the massage parlor. Hey, happy ending massage parlor. Come on in, and I'll take care of you. And I'm stunned, because she's just, stunningly beautiful. Uh-huh. And I'm like naive, like I'm an idiot, and I'm just going, why? And I'm trying to talk to her, right? Why are you doing this? My God, you're gorgeous. You could be a model. You could do it. Why are you doing this? This is so degrading. And she doesn't break out of her character. She's, oh, baby, come on. And she's just completely, not buying it at all. And and then the wall goes back up. And before I have seen no nudity whatsoever here. And the wall goes back up. It's going to pay it. So I put in another $1. And wall goes back down, and she continues to strip and talking about, come on in, we'll take care of you, you know. And I'm just going, you know, this is insane. You shouldn't be doing this. And I even offered her, I said, you could be in my band. I've got a band. I'm in this Tubes band. We're right up the street here. And you could be a Tubes dancer. Could you dance? You know, you could can you sing? You could be a tubette. You know, anyway, she never broke out of her character, ever. She never responded to me. She kept on with her spiel the entire time. And then the thing went back up a second time. And then I said, okay, this is ridiculous. This is, you know, number one, she's not interested in me trying to talk her into being a tube dancer. And number two, I'm never probably going to get any nudity here because they're just trying to milk money out of me and get me into the massage parlor. So I went back to the sound check, and but I had that inspiration for the song, for the lyric of "She's a Beauty." And it's funny because I asked when I told David about it when we were in the studio, the original line was, "You can talk to a naked girl." And David said, well, you can't say naked.
Yeah.
What do you mean you can't say naked? He goes, no, this is going to be the single for the record. You can't say naked on the radio.
Yeah.
You change it. And I said, oh, okay. So I said, well, what about pretty? You can talk to a pretty girl. He went, oh, okay, you can use that.
Wow.
So, but beauty, eh? He always, that's all. Whenever you did a good take, beauty, eh? Okay, eh? How you spell Canada? CANADA. But that record was, I mean, it was really special. And we had never, like I said, never worked with somebody so discerning, such a perfectionist. And
yeah, I've heard he's a perfectionist. Like it's got every little tiny detail. Has to be spot on, or it's got to be redone.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it took me, the first vocal I ever did for him was Amnesia, and it took a week to do that one song. It took a week to make it so perfect that he would accept it.
That's one of my favorite songs, by the way.
Yeah, I love that song.
I love Amnesia.
And I mean, and this was, you know, these days with Pro Tools and digital world, I mean, you can fix anything and make it perfect. You know, you can put it on auto tune, although I hate auto tune, and or quantizer. Well, I mean, it's a completely different recording world.
It is, yeah, it's a totally different world. It's cool that you've been able to see that too, you know, starting in the 70s and then seeing how things have progressed. And it's like,
yeah,
I can only imagine you're sitting there now going, look at all this stuff that they can do, all this shit, right? And then you think back and you're going, we didn't do that. We had to do it old school. And look at all the work we had to put into it.
Right. We had to really sing it and really play it. And if you screwed up, you had to do it again. You couldn't fix it. You couldn't take you know, although we do it, the record I just made with Richard Marx, Fee Waybill Rides Again. I mean, you know, we're in the studio and we're paying a fortune. And, you know, if you get the chorus right, you can fly the chorus to the second time and you can fly the chorus to the third time. And we do that. And, but, you know, for the most part, we're not like piecing together guitar solos or anything like that. You know, we're trying to do it old school. So
talk to me about I want to know the concept and who came up with it. I'm just curious about it. I've always wondered about this.
What?
The PVC pipe tube. Okay.
Oh,
it's floating and it's going over mountains and beaches. It's like every little aspect of the world. It's like going around the world. And then it kind of lands in right there to the band. Who came up with the concept of the floating PVC pipe tube?
Well, it was Mike and Prairie. I mean, Mike Cotton and Prairie Prince. We did all of the art in our from the very beginning. We did every album cover. We did every photo session. We created the toothpaste logo, the tubes kind of toothpaste logo. They created that. And the same thing with the tea. I don't know where it came from, but this white floating tea, on the blue background. And actually it's a piece of PVC pipe, a T PVC pipe that they added a piece at the bottom to make it look more like a T instead of just a cross.
Right.
But that was them. I mean, we did our own sets, we did our own costumes, we did everything ourselves. We pretty much did not.
So you did that. You created your own bondage costume.
Oh yeah, and the big shoes. I made the Quaylude.
Talk about the shoes. I'm looking at the shoes, right? And I just saw your I follow you on Instagram, so of course. But I just saw you put on your shoes, right? And I'm going, all right, whose are higher? Are yours higher than Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley, or are theirs higher? I'm looking at these things, I'm going, these things are monstrous, and I've seen them, and I'm going, they're pretty big too. How do you maneuver, and do we need a measure contest with these guys?
Mine are 18 inches. So that's higher than Gene and Paul Stanley for sure. They're maybe 6 or 8 inches, I don't know. But it's funny, I have a good story with the shoes. Years ago, we in San Francisco, we were like the weird band, right? And whenever we opened for Kiss once, and anybody who came to town that was weird, they put us with them to open. So we're playing at this little club on Broadway, and gosh, I can't remember the name of the club. The boarding house, not the boarding house. I can't remember. But we were playing with the New York Dolls, okay? And so David Johansen and Johnny Thunder and so they're just super glam and just very effeminate and big hair and makeup and so it's sound check. We're playing with opening for them at this little club, and it's the afternoon, and we're sound checking, and so they come in for the sound check, and they're completely decked out. They've got on hairdos and makeup and eyelashes, and they're wearing their platforms. And they're wearing their street clothes were the same thing they wear on stage. It was total glam. And we're just, and we're just going, oh my God, do you believe these guys, And this was kind of the first we'd seen of big platforms, and they're walking around the street in big platforms. And so I decide, and at the time we had the Quaylude character, although he wasn't called Quaylude then. He was called the kind of drug addict, rock star kind of glam guy, which is a parody of them pretty much, David Johansen. And what was it? I can't remember what his name was then. It was like, it was Rod Planet. It was kind of Rod Planet, and he's going to plant it where you want it. I used to say
that was before Quaylude.
That was before Quaylude. The Quaylude
oh my gosh!
Started as Rod Planet, and it was kind of Rod Stewart and Robert Plant and English rock star guy. Awesome. And so I see these guys come in with wearing these big platforms on the street, and I'm going, oh man, this is so pretentious. I can't believe it. And so I want to make fun of them. I want to parody them. I'm parodying them. Take, as they say in England, take the piss out. And so I went to the store, and I said, I'm going to make platforms bigger than theirs, and for Quaylude, for Rod Planet. And so I went to the store, and I bought 4, like half-gallon cans of tomato juice. Remember they're about this big,
Yeah.
about that big around,
Yeah.
and so and they're ribbed in the middle. They were ribs, kind of.
Yeah.
So I pour out all the tomato juice and I gaffer taped them to the bottom of the boots that I was wearing, because I was wearing boots for Rod Planet, but they weren't platforms, they were just flat. And so I gaffer taped them so that each boot had these two big tomato juice cans on them. And I put a bunch of gaffer tape around them, and so they looked all kind of silver with gaffer tape. And I'll never forget it. So that night, before we go on, and that's where Quaylude came from also, the same night, somebody gives me a Quaylude. They like, oh, here, take one of these, this will really, you'll really like it, and so I took a Quaylude before we did the show, and oh
The
my,
tomato cans.
and I went out in the tomato juice cans with doing Quaylude, and as I'm stomping around in them, they start to squash down because the ribs just collapse. And I'm whacked on Quaaludes, and the shoes are squashing down, and I'm trying to sing the song, and I'm just real. This is probably the best Quaalude I ever did, because it was real, and I was just whacked. And by the end of the song, the things were this high. The cans got squashed down to that high, and everyone thought it was hilarious. Oh my God, that's so great! And you do that every night, And so then we played 2 nights with them. And so the next night, I said, well, I'm not taking the Quaalude. I'll just act like I'm whacked on Quaalude. But I don't want the shoe. I want the platforms to. So I didn't pour out the tomato juice. I left them full of tomato juice so that they wouldn't squash. But then they weigh like 20 pounds each. Each foot's got a 20-pound lead weight on it. And I'm walking around like Frankenstein, I'm going, oh no, this is not going to work. This is not good. And so, we went on. Then I made cork ones, and somebody made a pair for me that were made out of clear plastic, and they were about that high. And inside of them was water with plastic fish. So they were like aquariums, plastic fish aquarium shoes, but they weighed a ton also. So anyway, those ones that you saw in the video were the last pair that I made from the 80s. They're still the same pair, and they're all
amazing.
Fiberglass. They're fiberglass, and they're real lightweight, and I've walked around in them forever. So it's not, it's easy. It's not a problem.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm going to see that one day. One day I'm going to see you on stage in those boots. It's going to happen.
Oh, you will. And I bet it will be too. I bet next year we'll make it to somewhere in Maryland, or I don't know. Where are you in Maryland, actually?
I'm in Towson, north of Baltimore. But we have venues galore. Right. So it's like so many to choose from.
Right. Okay. Baltimore. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good.
So I don't think many people know this. I think your true fans know this. But I actually was really shocked to realize this, that you were in a very, very well-known movie that did well. Okay. But I've seen it 1,000 times, and then I never realized it was you.
What, Xanadu?
One of the 3 of the most important people in the world, with
right.
Martha Davis of the Motels, and also Clarence Clemens.
Right.
I didn't realize that was you sitting there. And
Bill and Ted's. Yeah.
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. So I want people listening to this, watching this, that, Fee is one of the most important people in the world on Bill and Ted. That was awesome. Well, how was that experience? Did you have fun on that with Clarence Clemens? I couldn't imagine. How was the conversation between the 3 of you in between takes? That's what I want to know.
Well, yeah. I mean, Clarence was hilarious. And Martha and I were good friends. And the reason I got that gig was Martha's one of Martha's daughters was the girlfriend of a PA, a production assistant, and they were looking for, they wanted some musical celebrities to do that, and Martha said, "Oh, they asked." The daughter asked Martha, and Martha said, "Oh, I know Fee. I'll get Fee to come over." We did it in Arizona, and at the Dick Van Dyke studio in Arizona. And the hilarious thing was the way we floated up and down. We were sitting on 2x12 planks. It was like a teeter-totter. It was like a seesaw. There were 2x12 wooden planks that were like 10 feet long, and there was a guy on the back pushing them up and down. It wasn't like automated or any kind of mechanical thing. It was all, crew guys in the back. Oh, it was hilarious. And but it was fun. I mean, I enjoyed it. And we had all this dialogue. We had a whole lot of dialogue in that scene, and they cut it all out. Everything. They cut out everything. We never ended up saying a word. We just sat there, floated up and down and up and down and all.
Well, it was very cool to learn that about you. I ask everybody that I interview, my number one question actually is, I would like to know Fee Waybill's goosey moment. It's where you can think back on your career and that at a time where your hairs on your arms stand up and cool. And I love people's goosey moments. Give me one.
So this is a moment where what?
Where the hairs on your arms stand up and you go, I can't believe this is happening to me. This is an amazing moment in my life. A goosey moment. Something that gives you the goosies.
Okay, well, I would have to say that it was years ago in a town called Leicester, England. We had booked, I think it was 78. We had just booked this. We had just done What Do You Want From Live, the live album, and we went back and we had a 65, 70 show tour of Europe. And a big, we were going to play in London, and this was one of the warm-up shows before we got to London, in Leicester, which is kind of in the southern part of Britain. And gosh, I'll never forget. Anyway, I was doing, this, we used to do a punk character, kind of a spoof of the Sex Pistols. He was called Johnny Bugger. And we would do, I was a punk before you were a punk, and our punk version of Saw Her Standing There, okay? And I had a chainsaw, and I would sing the song, and I would wave the chainsaw around. We took the blade off of it, so it wouldn't cut my leg off. But the chainsaw was running, and it was smoke and loud and everything. And during the instrumental section of I Was a Punk, I would jump off the stage and run down the middle aisle of the theater, swinging the chainsaw around and terrorizing everyone. Okay. And I wore I dressed like a punk, and I wore Beatle boots and ripped up clothes. And we used to have like barbed wire. You know what barbed wire is? That goes around fences for keep cats. Well, we had rubber barbed wire, and I would wrap my whole self in rubber barbed wire. Anyway, so we're doing the song, and we're on a stage. I guess it was about maybe 5 or 6 feet high, in this really dark little theater in Leicester. And so it comes to the section where I'm supposed to jump off the stage and run down the audience. Well, I've got dark glasses on. I can't see anything. And so I walk to the edge of the stage, and and I'm getting ready to plant both feet and then jump off the stage. Well, I walk to the edge of the stage, and my last step goes off the edge of the stage.
Ooh.
And I fall, and the foot that was left on the stage twisted around, and I felt my leg break. I felt it snap, and I hit the ground, and I'm laying there going, oh my, talk about goosebumps. I'm going, oh my God. I just broke my leg. The whole tour is going to be canceled. This is like the third show of the tour. Everything's going to be canceled. London is, oh my God. Yeah. And oh my, anyway, it hurt like hell. And the chainsaw is still running. I'm laying there and the chainsaw is still running. And no one comes to get me. Everyone thinks it's part of the show. And the audience is laughing. Oh my God, that's so great. And the band is still playing. The band doesn't, they never missed a beat. And they're still playing, and they're kind of looking over what the hell? What happened? And I'm laying there going, oh my God, I'm so fucked, and nobody came to get me. I just laid there. And so finally I had to get up by myself with the chainsaw still running. And I thought, well, maybe I just sprained my ankle. Maybe it's not broken. So I got up and I kind of gingerly put my feet down, like, okay, can you stand? No, broke my right fibula, right about 6 inches above the ankle, just spiral fracture, just like that. Because the leg on the stage twisted as I'm going off, and so I guess that was it. That was my moment, and that ended up. They canceled the tour. I went straight to the hospital. The doctors, and somewhere in Leicester, and the doctor said, "Oh my God," and they're just going, "Well, if you were in the States, they'd probably operate on you and straighten it out and put screws in it to secure it." She goes, "Well, we're not going to do that because you're we have socialized medicine, and we're not." So they just slapped a cast on it, and they said, just now, and then you have to keep your foot for the next 10 days. You have to keep your foot raised above your heart, because if you lower your leg, the blood's going to rush to it and it's going to blow up the cast.
Oh no.
And so the whole tour is canceled. Everybody flies home except me. And I have to sit in a hotel room for the next 10 days with my leg up like this. And it was not fun at all. And it's funny, there's a video that they just put up on the Tubes site. And in the end, it was right when that happened. And there's a shot of me laying in. At the time, my girlfriend was in Paris with her mother, and I got a hold of her and I said, I'm in London, I'm done, I'm laid up, I broke my leg. And so there's a shot in the video of her sitting there with me, I'm laying there with my leg in a cast.
I'll have to go find that.
Yeah, they just put it up not too long ago on thetubes.com. And
wow.
But then, we ended up, that was May of 78. And then by September, we were back. My leg healed. We were back, and we rescheduled the whole 60 show tour and went back to London and went back and did the whole thing again. Wow. And it's still it's still a little twisted, but it's not too bad. I pretty much got over it.
Hey, I got to give you props, man. Having a broken leg and then being able to put on those 18-inch boots later on once you're healed.
Well, yeah.
Kudos to you. Kudos to you.
Yeah, I heard Dave Grohl. Same thing happened to Dave Grohl not too long ago. I'm kind of. I met him once in a costume store on Ventura Boulevard here and we kind of became friends. But I heard about it. He did the same thing, broke the same bone, but then they got him like a big wheelchair thing. They didn't cancel any shows. He just gutted it out, passed on, and played the gig from a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean,
Bette Midler used to do a tour where her and all of her dancers were in wheelchairs, just spinning across the stage. So in the future, let's not hurt yourself anymore. But if you do, Fee Waybill from the wheelchair.
Actually, they wanted me to do the show in London from a wheelchair, and I said I refused to do it. I just said, how am I gonna? I'm gonna do all my characters and my whole thing and the whole visual. I said it's not the same. It wouldn't. I'll just heal up and I'll come back, and so I did.
Well, Fee, our time is coming to an end soon because our Zoom is about to run out. But I did want to just say that I am so excited for you all to be with the Vampires of Hollywood. I think that's going to be amazing. Have you made the announcement yet? Am I able to share?
Well, we took the gig, so I guess you can. Yeah, I don't know if they have announced it yet on their website. I'm not sure, but we said, yeah, we'll do it, and they made us an offer and we accepted it, and so it's on. As far as I know, it's on. And Alice and I have been friends for years and years and years. In fact, the last time we went to Europe was on an Alice Cooper tour where we opened for him. And and Joe, I don't know Joe Perry, but I know he's a great guitar player. So it's going to be great.
I think I met him once. Nice guy, I think. From what I remember.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sitting with me. Because I mean, this is like
for having me. I'm glad to spend time with you. It's great. That's great.
And hopefully maybe we'll do it again because I feel like we have so much more to talk about,
we could go on forever. I got stories. I've got stories. I mean, 50, we got together in 1972.
Yeah.
This is 50 years this year. 50 years. I mean, our first album was 75. So we figured we'd milk the 50-year thing for like another 3 years until 2025. And then we could say, oh yeah, 50 years. We did. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, I know you and Prairie are still in the band. Any other original members?
Rogers,
okay.
Rick Anderson. There's still 4 out of 5 of us are original.